All right, so it's not dark. It's just kind of dark in here because it's morning time. I just had coffee, and Noelle made it a little strong. So, yeah, my stomach's not doing so hot now. So, she made it really, really strong. Well, actually, I made it, but she poured it prior to letting it fill up all the way. So, it only had a little bit of coffee in there. So, it's like heavily concentrated. She gave me a cup, gave herself a cup, and she's like, it's going to be super strong because I didn't let it fill up all the way. Excuse me, to help the other bit of water to dilute it. So it's the first bit that's coming out. That stuff was straight up gas. Like, it was like a triple espresso. It was just one sip, and I'm like, whoa. Anyway, you don't care about that. This Ask HershNoeie happens to deal with Thanksgiving, and actually, Thanksgiving was yesterday. It was a really good Thanksgiving here. I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. This person, the title is Thanksgiving Cooking Nightmare. Okay. So this person says, Ask HershNoeie. Uh, they said mainly this is just a venting session, but anyhow, so they go on to say that they had to stay home for the holidays this year because of the sickness. And she decided to cook a Thanksgiving meal. She saw online of different women talking about preparing for Thanksgiving a few days ahead. She knew that she wouldn't be able to, they wouldn't be able to travel. She's dating a guy. They've been dating for a while. She admits that she is not a good cook. She goes on to say typically they order out a lot and that type of thing, or he may cook every now and again, but that she's just not a cook. And she thought that she would actually make a Thanksgiving meal. She realized that she was too late to actually make a turkey because by the time she went to get a turkey, there wasn't any in her area, or when she checked around. So she decided instead of doing that to make steak. And she went on to say that she made a variety of different things. It took her several hours to make the meal. And by the time they got around, and I guess she started on Thanksgiving Day, I'm not sure. But by the time she got around to getting everything completed, Thanksgiving dinner for the two of them was, I'm assuming the two of them. I don't know if they have kids or not. She doesn't say that. But she just mentions her and her boyfriend. But she mentions that Thanksgiving dinner started at 7 o'clock at night. Okay. So she goes on to say that everything tasted horrible. The only thing that tasted somewhat decent was the mashed potatoes, but they were still super lumpy. And all I heard was constant complaints coming from my boyfriend. He was extremely upset, couldn't understand why I wasn't able to actually make anything that was halfway decent. We actually started arguing, and I felt like he didn't appreciate all the hard work that I did. I felt bad, but at the same time, I was also insulted. I didn't understand why he couldn't see that I put forth a lot of effort. And yes, it wasn't the best tasting, but at least be thankful for a Thanksgiving meal. I thought this was going to be a great way for us to connect. I realize I have a lot of shortcomings when it comes to cooking. I'm really willing to learn, but it wasn't something that I expected I had to do. Sure, I understood that there was a sickness, but I thought by the time Thanksgiving would come around that things would be different. We decided to stay here, but that was a big mistake, I feel. Me making a Thanksgiving dinner, I feel, was a big mistake. I probably should take cooking classes or something to actually help in this situation. I don't know what to really say about the situation other than I'm really frustrated. We haven't talked. He went to work, and this was this morning when I got this. He went to work this morning and didn't say anything to me. What do I do? How do I make this better? Any advice would be great. Okay. Well, Thanksgiving to me, I thought was going to be, and I'm sure it was, difficult for some. Some people did not go. and travel because of the sickness. And that's a good thing, because to me, it's just not worth it. You know, my sister and I talked about this, and she typically, since my mother passed away, she typically, the Thanksgiving before, she went to, because that was her first Thanksgiving without my mom. Um, there was other family members that asked if she wanted to spend time with them. There was other friends and different things like that. She did that. This year, she didn't do that because she wants to, you know, she just didn't want to take the risk, and I understand that completely. Um, us on the other hand, we've always, and I made a Facebook post about this. We didn't have any family or friends that has spent Thanksgiving with us at all. You know, in the time that Noelle and I have been together, that whole long time, we've never, with the exception of when we were in Indiana, we would go down to my mom's place. So I take that back. It's not never. But I would say in the past 6, 7 years, no, it's just been us. So we had to early on understand that this was a tradition that we were creating. And Noelle is someone who did cook. I mean, she lived on her own and she cooked and stuff like that. So she knew how to make things. But there were certain things that my mom would make. Now, my mom was born in 1932. And cooking for my mom was like breathing. It was essential. So my mom was a phenomenal cook. And anytime that we had something like a family get together or something like that, other relatives would ask her to make certain things because the things that she made, they loved. And so she, you know, that's a pretty high bar to hit because my mom's had decades of experience on it. And so Noelle wanted to do some of the same things my mom did, and she wanted to cook some of the same things my mom did, similar to what you're trying to do. And, you know, over the years, she has gotten insanely good. I mean, there was a time when I was fit and cut and all of that, and now I have one ab. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, dang. And last night, our Thanksgiving meal, I'm not here to glow to make you feel even worse, but our Thanksgiving dinner was just stupid. I mean, yeah, like it was good. Anyway, so yeah, Noelle took it very seriously. And in the last few years, and especially even this year, after my mom passed last year, early last year, Noelle took it upon herself this year to make things and do things the way my mom did it. And she wanted to kind of keep that tradition going of certain things. She can't replicate everything. There's a couple of different dishes that she does, and she does them very well. So I get it. We don't struggle through that issue, though. So your situation is not something that I've had to deal with because Noelle has been a great cook, right? And typically I thought that most people, if I were going to get asked HershNoeie's on Thanksgiving, would be about politics and people upset and fighting and stuff like that, those who did travel. I haven't gotten none yet. I'm not ruling that out. I haven't gotten any yet. But this one's different. And I would basically, here's what I would do. Is when I first was on my own, I had gotten divorced. I didn't know how to cook a lot of things. I mean, there were some things I knew how to cook, like scrambled eggs and hamburger and stuff like that. But I had to learn how to do certain things, right? So I would say if I were you, even before you doing cooking classes, why not just go online, find a recipe of something and focus on it? There's a ton of people, even on YouTube, and not complicated things, but just basic, simple things. one, eating out is very expensive. When you think about it, it becomes pricey. It becomes very pricey. And I understand people want to support small businesses, and I agree with that. We eat out every now and again, but eating out, especially if it's fast food, is not healthy for you. A, B, it becomes expensive, and C, it takes you from the responsibility of cooking, right? So I feel like it's eating out should be out of convenience, maybe, or as a luxury, right? That's the way it really, I think, kind of should be. But that's just not how most people live. That's not how we do it either, really, sometimes. So I get that. I would probably make a very simple meal, today. He's at work, he's not talking. That's a completely separate topic. But what I would do is find something online that's super simple to make and make it. And probably one of your best things, especially this time of year, is like a soup. Make some sort of a soup. Potato soup would be a good one. And make that. It's a hearty meal, something that's really, really good. It's not super complicated. And make that. Get some bread. Season it very well. You can probably find a recipe online or even a video that walks you through on how to make some sort of bread that's really, really tasty. I mean, you can go buy the bread, you know what I mean? Like the whatever. You can buy those things. But, get all the things that you need. And when he comes home, have it ready and say, look, I wanted to discuss Thanksgiving. And just say that, I did the best that I possibly could. This wasn't something that you expected. You never was really a cook before. And then cooking on Thanksgiving is going to be a daunting challenge. People who have cooked for years, Thanksgiving can be a daunting challenge. And for someone that never has cooked and then you're cooking on Thanksgiving, that is a lot. That's a lot. Don't beat yourself up too much about it, because everybody makes mistakes. Everybody, is not coming out as an expert. You have to work at something in order to grow and learn. But this should be looked at as a growing period. Look at the things that you did that, when you made the meal, maybe it wasn't seasoned correctly, or maybe you left it on the stove or something too long, or whatever the case may be. You can dissect that later. But I would just practice. Every day, create something small. It doesn't have one day, create a salad. You do the potato soup tonight. The next meal, make a homemade pizza. That's kind of easy. Homemade pizza. I got onto that because of a guy friend of mine who he never had a girlfriend. I knew that dude for years and years and years, and he never had a girlfriend. He just couldn't. He later got married, and they divorced, but he just couldn't get a girlfriend. But anyway, so the homemade pizza he made was sick. And I looked at him, I'm like, dude. So after that, I started making my own pizzas too, because I'm like, man. But try making a homemade pizza, right? And I don't know if it's just you two or if there's kids involved as well, but make one big enough for you to have a few different pieces. And that's the way that you do it. You know what I mean? Practice, practice, practice. And I think that that's one of the key ways of improving, is to start off small and simple. And then next year, if you're making Thanksgiving dinner, then, it might go a completely different direction. But I think with him, I would just say, look, this is a stressful time for everybody. A lot of the norms that we had prior are gone for now. And, it was a difficult situation for you. You wanted him to have a good meal. You wanted to start your own tradition, whatever the case may be. And, just apologize and say, look, this wasn't something I did intentionally. And if he's a good dude, He'd be like, don't worry about it. You know what I mean? Like, you tried your best. Don't worry about it. I understand that there's a lot of, stress and whatnot in terms of this. You're making things you never made before and blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? You probably will, most good dudes will come around and be like, all right, I was being a little bit out of line. But that's what I would do. I wouldn't stress it too much. If he's a reasonable guy, it's not going to be that big of a deal. I think that maybe the anticipation, and it's like, ooh, a lot of times people know what Thanksgiving's about, and it's like, okay, I know I'm going to get this, this, and this, and I can't wait to try this. And then when those things are kind of, altered because, your plans are altered because of something out of your control, and then someone else has to make it, and it's just not right there, it's disappointing. But I don't think he's necessarily disappointed at you. I think he's just disappointed at the situation. So sometimes that just takes a little bit of time. Folks sometimes will go to work and come back and be completely level-headed, or even throughout the day will be a lot more level-headed. But if not, don't worry about it. Put your head down, start finding some, recipes. Again, I say potato soup because it's straightforward, it's simple, it's hearty, it's perfect for this time of year. You can have, it could last for the next day even. Could be for his lunch. That's what I would do. Hopefully that works. I wish you the best. Thank you for the question. Sorry that it didn't turn out the way that you had anticipated, right? But anyhow, what do you guys suggest? What would you do? Hopefully you can come up with a couple of different answers that I didn't have. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Until next time, I will see you. Take care.